Good evening, everyone. It's Sanjana here from Energetics Every Day. How are you all doing? The sun is out in North London. Hurrah! Spring is finally arriving. So today we're going to go back to the beginning. That's where today, when I was thinking about what we should do, this term back to the beginning kept coming back to me. I kept repeating it over and over. And when I felt into it, I could really feel how it was like a collective energy from the higher self collectives. They wanted me to take you back to the beginning. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm just going to check that you are coming up on my phone. And it's all working. Yes, it is. Say hello if you're watching, because as ever, Facebook doesn't tell me who's watching me. Let me just turn the volume down as well. So that, so just come and say hello, and we will get going in just a minute. How's your week been? What great things have happened to you? Share them in the group. Gives everyone a lovely uplift. Hi, Paula. Hi, Jen. How are you both doing? I hope you're having a good week. So we're going to talk about back to the beginning with your higher selves, and we're going to do an energetic, an energetic process with them as well. So as you know, I like to do something practical with you guys if I can, and they're going to guide us through that. Hi, Gwen. How are you? And have you settled into your new house now, Gwen? Let me know. But I'm going to get cracking because there's quite a lot that they've asked me to cover today with you guys. So when we think about going back to the beginning, some of you have been on your personal development journeys for a little while now. And some of you might already be connected to your high self. Some of you might be connected to your wider non-physical team. And I thought it was really interesting that they're asking you to go back to the beginning. Hi, Helen. They're asking you to go back to the beginning almost. And part of that is because even when we've been growing, when we go back to the beginning, we see it with different eyes. So remember the very first time you learned, say, to cook something, you followed those instructions, really, really carefully, really rigidly, and you took it step by step, and you were probably a bit nervous and you were probably a bit unsure about what you were doing. But then as you practice, you will find that nervousness disappears and you become more confident and you become more at ease with what's being asked of you. So when you go back to the beginning with connecting to your higher self and your non-physical team, you approach it differently if you are coming back to the beginning. Now, obviously, we've got some brand new members in the group, so hello to you. Those members may not have connected to their higher selves, and so for them, they'll be at that stage of feeling a bit nervous, feeling a bit unsure. That's where they'll be. But hopefully, if they watch this live and repeat it a couple of times, they won't feel that way. When saying, interesting day, so feeling close but far remote from what I'm trying to create, very close. Good. Yeah. I think that actually is symptomatic of what a lot of people in our community are going through at the moment, Gwen. I'm in pretty much the same place as you. Nice. And you love your bifold. Yeah, who doesn't like a bifold door? So if we now, as we're going back to the beginning, as if we are getting to know our higher selves again, what I want you to think about is, why were you seeking this connection? What sparked your curiosity? What made you think, I think I want to connect to my higher self? Maybe it was just the name higher self that drew you in. Maybe it was the idea that there's something ethereal that was calling you in. What was it that was calling you in? And if you revisit that feeling of, I want this connection, this additional connection, has it changed or is it the same? And for some of you, there'll be no difference. So for me, if I go back to why I wanted to connect to my higher self, was because I didn't want to feel alone anymore. I'd always, because of sort of circumstances in my life, I'd spent a lot of my life feeling quite different to a lot of people. And I wanted someone who was for me, just for me, who was on my side, who would help me and not have to worry about anyone else. That person was for me. And that's who Athalia was for me and is for me. She is so with me on my journey. So why did you want to connect to your higher self? And has that reason changed at all? Is it different? Perhaps it's deepened or it's wider now. The reason you wanted. So, for example, if you were attracted by the ethereal nature, the non-physical nature of your higher self, when you go back to that now, do you feel like you know your higher self really well? Or is there more conversation you could have with your higher self so that you got to know them better and understood better how they can help you? So this might be why. Okay. So the second question I want to ask you is, what can you gain from revisiting your higher self connection? What can you gain? So for some of you, the first question will give you a clue, right? In revisiting why you wanted to connect in the first place. For some of you, when you come back to the second question of what can you gain or what have you gained from this higher self connection, you will say, I've gained a friend. I've gained a new source of advice. My intuition has, there's a problem with the broadcast, apparently. I'm going to keep talking. Those of you who are watching, just come join me as soon as you can, right? So some of you, when you connected to your higher self, you will find that you have found a friend, that you have learned who your wider non-physical family are. You might find, let me just write a message. I'm just writing a message just in case you are not hearing me. Right. Okay. So hi, Nikisha. So some of you, when you have met your higher self, will have met a friend. You will have had a sense of reacquainting yourself. Well, if you revisit now, what have you gained from this friendship? And what more can be gained from this connection? So one of the things that came out for me, and quite lately, was that I have a love of art. Now, I've always liked colouring with pencils and pens, but this relationship with Athalia actually persuaded me to go and do an art class. And for the best part of a year now, I've been doing an art class and I absolutely love it. And in that art class, I feel such a connection to Athalia and to one of her other lives. It's been an absolute gift, and I didn't even know it was going to happen. So when I joined the art class, it was because my house is an empty nester's house and I was on my own and I needed some new interests to keep, fill up my time and do stuff. And instead, I've got this really beautiful connection with my higher self where I'm sharing a passion with her and I'm also feeling a past life of hers. So what the question again is, what have you gained from this connection? What can you gain when you go back and look at it? Hi, Diane. Hi, Denise. Hi, Mickey. Lovely to see you. The picture, I'm not sure why, is freezing and then carrying on, freezing, carrying on. Sorry about that. I'm not getting anything at my end to say it's a problem, but I'm assuming maybe it's a storm or something causing some problems, okay? So we're going back to the beginning with your higher self and the collectives, because when we revisit things that we've done, we sometimes gain new knowledge and new perspectives. And so the first question for those of you who've joined me late was, why are you seeking this connection with your higher self and your wider non-physical team? That was the first question I asked. The second question I asked was, what can you gain from this connection? So what have you gained so far, and what more can you gain from this connection? The third question I'm going to ask you is, what did your higher self gain from that connection when you first made the connection? And as you reconnect again tonight, what more can your higher self gain? So think about this. When you first connected with your higher self, up until then, he or she could only give you nudges. They couldn't take part. They couldn't participate in any direct way, because we have free will and we need to invite our higher selves to participate with us in whatever it is we're trying to create change for. When you wanted to seek that connection in the first place, you were probably looking for some kind of change. It could be a change in your circumstances. It could be a change in your money situation, in relationships. You were seeking change. You wanted growth. You wanted something different, okay? So when you first made that connection, the first thing your higher self got was the ability to participate and help you in a much more direct way. But what else might they have gained? Well, as you evolved, as your abilities evolved into capabilities, as you became better connecting in with your higher self and your non-physical team, your higher self also began to evolve. And this was part of the soul contract, that it was built into your soul contract, that if you made this connection, you would both grow together. And one of the things I say to a lot of new people to this is a 50-50 partnership. You grow, but so do they grow, and they grow because you have grown. So if we're revisiting, what does your higher self gain from this connection? Ask your higher self this now. We've done all this work. We've journeyed through. Some of you will have got to True Cellular Form Complete. Some of you will be in Precious Loving Time. Some of you will still be in Evolve You or in the Solution of God. It doesn't really matter where you are. But ask your higher self, we've been connecting for a little while. Well, what are you gaining from this still? How is this helping you as much as it's helping me? These are some of the questions I want you to ask your higher self. And as I said at the beginning, for those who are joining me, who've joined us late, is when we have been through a journey, when we first started connecting, we were probably quite nervous and we were very rigid in step by step. But as you gained confidence, as you gained experience of connecting with your higher self, you would have become more relaxed about it. And so if you have been connecting for a while with your higher self, you will now feel quite relaxed. So if you revisit these 3 questions, why was I seeking the connection with my higher self and my wider non-physical team? What have I gained from this connection, and what can I continue to gain from this connection? And number 3, what has my higher self gained from this connection, and what do they continue to gain from this question, these 3 questions? You'll find that the answers may have changed quite a lot. So as I said, for me, for number 1, when I first went to connect with Athalia, I wanted someone who was there for just me, who would help me, not anyone else, but who I was the focus of. Now, when I think about that connection, it's actually about I have someone I want to spend time with doing stuff we both enjoy, a bit like a physical friend, right? I don't really need her in the same way because my energy has shifted so much and I have so much faith in what is going to manifest in my life. If I think about what have I gained from this, well, I've gained loads of capabilities. I didn't know before I started this journey that I have the ability to connect with everybody's higher self on the planet if I wanted. I didn't know, for example, that I could really maximize and supersize my healing capabilities. So that's some of the things I've learned before. Whereas now when I think about what can I gain from this connection, I'm gaining more about friendship. I'm gaining more knowledge about what she does in non-physical, which I wasn't really that interested in at the beginning. At the beginning, it was more about me, but now it's much more general. What is she up to when I'm doing my stuff? Because I don't need Athalia in the same way that I used to. Gwen's saying they're learning about being a physical. Yes, yeah, they are. But ask your higher self, Gwen, these questions specifically to you as well, rather than as a general, because that's how higher selves evolve through their human counterparts. That's how they understand the experience of physical life, because many of them have never had a physical experience. So it's important that we keep this dialogue going with them, right? So then the other question I have for you, number 4, is what can you do with your higher self when you first started, and what can you do with them now? So, for example, when I first started connecting with Athalia, the most I felt I could do was just talk to her, and a lot of the time she would bring me balance, because I would get really super frustrated. I would find it really hard to not get cross. I used to shout quite a lot in my head at my non-physical team. It took me quite a lot of practice to learn, actually, if you're calmer and nicer to them, they can help you more, and to manage my frustration. Whereas now, I don't ever feel that level of frustration, ever, actually. So now when I think, what can I do with my higher self? It's like I can have fun. I can have loads of fun. I can manifest even more easily. So quite often I just set an idea of something I want. I understand why I want it, the feeling I want. And my higher self really helps me connect to those energies. And so things manifest for me quite fast these days. So Gwen is correct when she says they're learning about being a physical human. But I want you, that's quite a big overview. I want you to bring this back to you specifically, because when you go back to the beginning of a relationship that you've had for a while with your non-physical team, what happens is that you are beginning to understand the depth and the breadth of the potential of this relationship. Your higher self will help you as much as you will let them. And in going back, you might actually go, oh, actually, I could ask them for help with this. And what would happen if I asked them for help with this? What would happen if I just chatted in my mind about a problem I'm facing, not necessarily seeking an answer, but just having someone to talk to who's going to listen and who's going to flow love back to me? How's that going to make me feel? Now, when you very first make your connection with your higher self, you're not in a place to have that kind of conversation. But now, for those of you who've been with me on this journey for a while, who've been connecting to your higher self, you are in that place to go back and have these conversations and go, can I bring or can I accept a new perspective from my higher self? Can I accept that she's showing me something? I may not understand the full picture, but I'm willing to trust that my higher self knows what they're doing. So you might say, what can you gain from this connection now? And it could be you're gaining more trust or more faith. It could be you're gaining more calm, more peacefulness, less frustration. What are you gaining when you revisit your relationship back to the beginning with your higher self? What have you been gaining? How can you maximize that and supersize it? And as I say this, I can actually feel like the collectives around me. Think of it this way, right? There are over 8 billion people on this planet, and every single person has a higher self. And I can feel the collectives for all those people. Now, when you first learn about higher selves, you'll learn that there are different collectives. There's the Ophelia collective, which is, often has therapists and healers and artists in it. You've got the Adam collective, much more science-based. You have Archangel Michael's collective, you have the Sheldon collectives. There are lots and lots of collectives. And even your higher self might have a collective. So Athalia has a collective, and their purpose is about love, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to bring loads of love to the universe, to the planet particularly. Part of my soul purpose as I've gone through this journey is to understand that I'm here to bring love to the world in a different way, help people reconnect to love. So that's why we're asking you to go back to the beginning. That's why we're asking you to revisit these questions of what can I gain? Why did I want to connect with them? What can I gain? How does my higher self gain from this? And the thing about the collectives is, as you build your relationship with your higher self, they are communicating this to the other parts of the collective, to the other parts of the higher self collective. So I want you to start asking those questions and see what outside you get, what answers you get. Sorry, not outside you get. You've been having a few, yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. You've been having a few Esther moments. So is that reconnecting to the... Yeah, there's something there. It's really interesting, Gwen, because I've been really nudged to go back to listening to some Abraham Hicks, and it surprised me a little bit, actually. It wasn't something I thought would be happening for me. And I think, yes, there is, because it's about abundance that you and I, the kind of work we're doing, it's about bringing abundance to our target audiences. So you could actually, when you go back to your higher self, you can kind of talk to her about, okay, why am I having these Esther moments? Can you give me some clarity here? Okay, because that would too. Yeah, there you go. That's one of my favorites, Mickey. Everything is working out for me. Honestly, it built so much trust and faith for me. So as I said, you know, when you go back to your higher self and you ask them about these things, you're getting a new perspective because of all the experiences you've had of working with them. All your experiences are fed back through your higher self to the collectives, adding to the knowledge that they have. Now, higher selves rarely have had a physical life, okay? So they don't understand how tough the physical human experience can be for some of you. You know, some of you will have experienced loss very early on in life, you know, a bereavement or, you know, some kind of argument where you've lost a parent, divorce, etc. Some of you might have experienced challenges at work or getting on with people. Some of you will have had miscarriages or had to have a medically induced abortion. Some of you might have to have just had an abortion, and that's caused you a great deal of pain. And others of you will have suffered financially and struggled financially. Some of you will have mental illness, but you see, your non-physical team don't understand the impact of those things. So it's really important that when you're talking to your higher self, you are saying to them, please communicate this back to the rest of the collective, so that when they are setting up contracts for new human souls to come here, they can have this knowledge base and they can bring it through, so that future generations maybe can come in and be awakened already. In other words, they don't have to live through a perspective of fear. They can be born with a perspective of love from the get-go. Imagine a world where we lived in, where everybody was connected to their higher self. Everybody was high vibration. Some of the things that we see in the wider world just wouldn't happen because they're so low vibrational. When you think about all the wars that are being waged at the moment around the globe, you know, you've got the Israel-Palestine conflict, you've got the Ukraine-Russia conflict, there's a conflict in Yemen, there's a conflict, you know, in what was sort of in Myanmar. You know, there's conflicts all around the world going on at the moment. And this is because people are acting from this perspective of low vibration and fear. But what if you could talk to your higher self and say to them, this is not great, you know, Can't we start working so that we're bringing through really high vibe young people who are going to really radically change our world? And this is where you are important. You're always important in this relationship. But I want you to understand, and I talk about influence and impact a lot, but I want you to understand your impact and influence on your higher self and the collective in general. You have the ability to really talk to your higher self and to their colleagues within their own collectives and really explain how hard whatever you're experiencing is. I did something similar to this last year when I was talking to God and my team about money and how 95% of the world do not live above the poverty world line. Can you imagine 95% of the population do not live above the poverty line that's set by the UN? So they need help. This is not our idea of fun. This is not our idea of living an abundant and prosperous life where life feels good. And that's what we're here for. That's what we're supposed to be experiencing. So what we want is to bring our impact and influence to our collectives. So that's enough talking. Let's do an energetic process and then I will crack on with the cards. Can you just put in the comments if you would like a card and I will pull one for you afterwards, okay? So just close your eyes for me and just take a deep breath in and out slowly. Sorry. I just need to message my son who's in the next room singing. It's quite distracting. Oh dear, kids, eh? Right. Okay, let's get cracking. So close your eyes for me and just take a nice deep breath. Now, if you're new to connecting to your higher self, this is a really easy process. It's very simple. And once you do this a couple of times, you'll just do it really easily. I want you to imagine that you have, well, you do actually have biologically a gland called your pineal gland. It's right in the center of your brain. And from it is running a beautiful energetic tube. This tube does not appear on any X-rays. It's energetic. And it runs all the way down through the middle of your brain, right the way down through your head, through your throat, down through your torso and into your perineum at the base of the pelvis. This is the cylinder that holds your soul energy or your inner being. And we're going to just see that tube filling up with the most glorious, beautiful white light. And it's moving constantly. It's never still. You might see flashes of colour, of pinks and golds and greens and blues and purples and turquoises. And it doesn't matter if you don't see anything or if you do see it, just go with it. You can't get this wrong. And then you're going to invite your higher self to come in and she's going to blend her energy with your inner being's energy. And if you're male, your higher self is male, so he will blend his energy in with yours. I like to imagine my higher self wrapping their energy around my inner being. And now we're going to invite your higher self to extend this connection to your higher self collective, to the collective that they belong to. And you might get a name for that collective. You might get a feeling about that collective. So it might feel super loving, or you might feel it's very analytical, or you might feel a lovely sense of calm coming from your collective. Just allow yourself to feel. And remember, you can't get this wrong. And so, as your higher self connects you to the higher self collective, we're going to just send them from your heart through your inner being and through your connection with your higher self. We're going to send some love to your collective. And we're going to ask them to send love back to us. And then we're going to send more love to the collective. And more love coming back to us. In essence, we're exchanging love with our higher self and the collective. And in doing so, we're strengthening that bond. We're strengthening their ability to understand the physical experience. But we're also strengthening our ties to our team. So our teams are beautiful and they're there to help us. And so just allow that flow of love to keep coming from you to them and them to you. Imagine it as a circle of love. You might begin to notice that a smile appears on your face, or you feel a tingle around your heart vortex, your love vortex, or perhaps you feel super calm. Take a nice deep breath and allow. And now we're going to just ask them to help us with manifesting one specific thing. So your one specific thing could be, I want some help, please, to experience a loving relationship. I want some help, please, to experience a lovely influx of currency into my bank account. I want some help, please, to experience inner freedom or faith or a feeling of success or a feeling of joy. And the reason we're picking on the feelings is because when you feel something, your outer world has to start mirroring that. So if you are feeling abundance and you are feeling financially prosperous, the world will have to mirror that because of the law of attraction. If you are feeling peaceful, then your outer world in your immediate vicinity will start to become more peaceful. And so we're going to say to the collectives and to your higher self, this is what I want to feel like. I want to feel inner freedom or inner peace or inner joy or inner prosperity. And I want to feel that every day. I want that to become my new norm. And as I feel that, I want to feel really exciting, wonderful opportunities come my way. I want every day to be exciting in whatever it is I want to feel. And in doing so, bring my manifestations closer. And you've made this request within the circle of love, which means that it feeds you and it feeds them. It is a beautiful, energetic, loving circle. And so now we're going to let go of the connection. You can revisit this process if you wish. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So let me know how that was for you. Hopefully hi Victoria, hopefully the signal held through the process, but let's see. Okay, so let's get on to cards now. So, right, Helen's first, then it's Nikisha, then it is Gwen. Who else would like a card? Mickey, would you like a card? Who else is with us tonight? Let's have a look. Denise is with us. Denise, would you like a card? And then, yeah, who else would like a card? Right, Denise, okay. Excellent. I'm really glad. Okay. So the thing about it is, Mickey, is, you know, manifesting is all about the feeling, actually. If you look at what Abraham talks about and Esther translates, it's, you know, get the feeling of what it is you want. Yeah, no problem, Belinda. Yeah. So you want to notice the feeling of the thing you want to manifest, right? So, for example, a lot of people say, I want some money. Well, what's the feeling the money's going to give you? Is it going to give you peace and calm? Is it going to give you a feeling of security? Is it going to give you a feeling of excitement? What is it that you want to feel? Okay. So I think that's it for tonight. Susie, if you want a card, now's your time to say so, my love. Otherwise, I will be saying good night to you all, and I will be back next week just to see how you're all getting on. Feel free to go back and listen to the energetic process again. I will try and say where it falls in the video so you can see it, and then we can go from there. Okay, let me just check if there are any other messages. No, there aren't. Susie, did you want a card, my love? Helen's had hers. Otherwise, I shall say good night. Have a lovely week all, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Take care now. Lots of love.